Hey everyone, it's Jake from Echo. For today's Essential Voices interview, we're joined by the Director of Marketing here at Echo, Ken Osberg, and Jim Nelson from J&J Lawn Services. With that, I'll hand it over to Ken.
Well, thanks, Jacob. Appreciate that. Yeah, Jim, we want to say thank you for joining us today. You know, we've put together this little piece called Essential Voices. And what we're doing is we're bringing, hints, tricks, best practices, and even some words of inspiration from you, other pros, and getting that out into the landscape community. You know, I think during this time, it's really important that that we do share those stories, and we are talking with one another and helping each other through this time. So that's what we're all about here at Echo and the Essential Voices program. So with that, I'll say thanks, Jim, for taking some time with us today. It's super great to see you again, and yeah, appreciate your time.
Hey, good to see you too. Yeah, I think it's a super idea. Definitely a different time right now.
It is. So with that, let's just jump right into it, Jim. How is this virus affecting you and your business today?
Well, down here in Florida, it really hadn't affected my day-to-day operations so much. I'm still going out like I normally do. My concern as far as affecting my business is more the long term. You know, as far as maybe getting parts in, people start running out of funds, to keep their services. But currently, right now, today, I'm business as usual down here in Florida.
Okay, all right. Because Florida, from a governor's perspective, has said that landscaping is considered essential. So obviously, you're working, others are working. Your dealers are open as well, I take it?
Yes, they are. My dealer's open every day.
Okay. Now, from a dealer perspective, have they had any communication to you and the pro community out there on adjusting hours, or how are they getting the messages out to you guys and their customer base?
Well, I got a real good rapport with my dealer. I actually see him every couple of days, every 2 to 3 days. I drop by him on a couple of my routes, and we've got a good relationship, personal and business wise.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's great to have that support, especially these days, when things aren't the norm. And so having those relationships, whether it be a dealer, but in other areas too, whether that's insurance or other types of services
that's exactly right. Need. That's exactly correct.
Yeah. So obviously with you being considered essential in your market, the whole SBA loan situation really is a bit of a non-issue then for you, since it's pretty much I'll say status quo, meaning you're working and not having to resort to some other circumstances.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have any employees. It's just me and my son. When we do go out, so I don't have any employees that I have to concern myself with payroll or anything like that.
Okay. So what about with you and your son that are out working? How are you thinking about the safety aspect and taking precautions and working through some of those guidelines coming from the CDC?
Well, actually, a lot of my clients, I've had 15, 20 years, and a lot of them are seniors, a lot more senior than I am. But when this all first kicked off, I have good communication with all my clients. They text me, I talk to them on the phone, had their emails, and I've communicated to them, when this all kicked off, because a lot of them come out and like talking to me when I'm at their property. And, we've passed that stage, during this time here. Most of them don't want to come outside, and with all this going on, I prefer they didn't actually. So we're communicating a lot through email and text and phone calls.
Okay.
And, I do my thing when I get to their property, I leave, and, it's better that way right now. There's a lot less physical interaction.
Right. So have you seen any change in behavior with your customers at all? Or, from a business perspective, are they, still maintaining, are they, any change in behaviors?
I think they're actually looking for more work. I think they're looking out their window now, and those weeds in the flower bed that I told them I needed to get out, I think they're realizing, hey, those do need to get gone.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. I've actually picked up some work like that. I do a lot of pressure washing as well, and some of them wanted me to do that, but we can't do that here. That doesn't fall into that essential category.
Uh-huh.
We could, I guess, some people could play that gray area, the maintenance thing, but I ain't doing no gray area stuff. It's,
Okay. So from that perspective, with the essential being the mandate, you're taking a very strict look on those definitions and then trying to abide by that. And so you are adjusting some of your services accordingly then.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And, that's for my own benefit and out, just out of a business image, as far as my customers and stuff go too. I want them to have the feel that I'm concerned for them and their safety as well.
Yeah, right.
Well, as my own.
So during these times, you're obviously having to pivot a little bit. It's affecting everybody.
Yes.
Are you doing anything differently from a budgeting perspective or finances or things along the lines of business management?
Well, what I tell people, but budget wise, not just here, but other businesses as well. Obviously you got to concern yourself in this. Some states can't even mow right now.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that are in this business, I can only imagine what they're going through. And what I tell them as far as budgeting the finances is, your three basic needs. Make sure you do that first: food, clothing, and shelter for you and your families.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously that comes before anything else. Make sure that's taken care of. And the other end of that spectrum, if you do have finances available, it's a great time to invest because this will all end sooner or later, and things will come back. It may take a while, but it'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to cover those basic needs for you and your family first.
Absolutely. So if this situation continues, the shelter in place and these things continue for some weeks, do you see yourself needing to adjust any more? Do you have more plans if it extends?
Well, this it's a real fluid environment right now, and it's kind of hard to make plans for that when you don't really know what may take place because it's so fluid. But I'm flexible and I can adjust to whatever I need to. And like I said, and a lot of that's communication, with the clients and customers, and they understand that as well. There may come a day next week where Florida tells us we can't mow. And if that happens, we won't be able to mow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the communication is the most important piece of that right there with your clients and customers.
Right. So based on what you've been going through, you've obviously have picked up some best practices, and are there some things that you can share with the other pros out there that, that have worked for you in this time? Maybe it's ways of interacting with customers or, back to, maintaining your business for the future and budgeting and safeguarding. What kind of hints and suggestions can you offer to the others out there?
Well, I'll tell you something that's personally changed in the way I do things is simply washing my hands. I wash my hands 10 times as much as I used to. I carry sanitizer with me. I got rubber gloves in my trunk when I get fuel, just because we don't know what's going on. And those are things that have changed for me since all this has taken place. And it's probably things I'll continue. It's only been beneficial for me. It's just, it's just a more clean, healthier environment for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is the fear. And realize there's other people out there that can talk to you that are going through some of the same stuff you're going through. Don't be afraid to reach out and don't hesitate and, trying to seek help if you need help, or even if it's just talking to somebody. My phone line's open all the time. People can message me. They can call me. I'll talk to anybody any time of day or night.
Jim, that's fantastic. I think you hit on a big one there. Being there for one another, not only, from a business perspective, but I think from an emotional perspective is exactly just right. As much important as the other things. We're all spending a lot more time more sheltered, and that changes the communication, that changes our social interaction. And I think being there for a support perspective is just super important. Are there things that you've seen personally, maybe within your business or within your community that, acts of kindness or charity or things that you've personally experienced that might be, hints for others that could help support in other communities?
Well, the Nextdoor app, are you familiar with the Nextdoor app?
No, I'm not.
Nextdoor app, it's based on subdivisions and locations. And like my particular subdivision, I'm the lead because I started it for my subdivision.
Hmm.
Well, when I post a message in the Nextdoor app for my subdivision, it actually reaches 9 subdivisions around me. So, and Nextdoor started when the virus took place here, you know, about your ability to help and reach out or what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I've listed on Nextdoor app if, you know, the people don't have vehicles, some of the seniors in the area, I have a lot of seniors live in my subdivision. If you can't get to the pharmacy, if you can't get to the grocery store, if you my phone number's on there, you know, call me if you need something. If you want me to call and check on you every couple of days. Nobody's taken me up on that yet, but I put it out there that, you know, so I went out to 9 different subdivisions real local here to me. And people I know that use the app, you know, have encouraged them to do the same thing. You know, because a lot of people, they may not have the ability to do those things right now, or a lot of people are real fearful and they just don't want to do those, you know, especially the more senior people.
That's a great idea. I appreciate you sharing that because I haven't heard of that app before. And I mean, that's something others can pick up right now and be able to implement in their communities and be there for one another. I mean, that's really great, Jim.
Yeah, and when it starts, like I said, having the lead, before they'll give you your subdivision title, you have to have 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
What Nextdoor does is you click all the addresses on a Google map in their subdivision, and Nextdoor sends postcards to everybody you select free, encouraging them to join the app. And once 10 people sign up, and then you get your own, but our sheriff's department here post on it, Florida Health Department post on it. So you can go on that app, you can get updates from the health department on the virus, you get crime and safety info from a sheriff. You know, it's a really good app. I really like it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's something for everybody that they could pick up right now and help their communities out with. That's great.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. We're all in this together. We all got to get through it together.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Thank you for that. Are there any other pieces of advice that you can offer the pros out there that maybe who are working, but you know they're dealing with some of the same things you are in terms of trying to walk that fine line of definitions of essential and non-essential? Or is there any more hints for the professional landscapers?
Well, I would just say, you know, whatever your city, county government, you know, state or whatever has in place, if you're unsure of the rules, I'd say get them clarified. You know, from the governor's office, the council's office, and don't play with the gray areas. You know, it affects your business image and such. You know, play by the rules. And if you don't agree with the rules, talk to them and see if you can get the rules adjusted or get an exemption. But don't work in that gray area. To me, you look bad working in that gray area. You know, just like my pressure washing. I know I can't pressure wash. Can I pressure wash? I can probably go out and be fine with it. But it's the other people that see and get that image of what I'm doing, them knowing I'm not supposed to be doing
that. Yeah, that's great advice, Jim. Yeah, that's great.
Like I said, if there's something that you think you ought to be doing, all you got to do, you got to talk to people. You got to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can request an exemption for something you're wanting done, and if it's approved, go do it.
Yeah, just ask the questions, right?
That's exactly right.
Don't gamble and ask the questions, and I think also with that you can work with your customers and let them understand the situation better and what is essential, not essential. So they may have expectations that everything's fair game when in reality it's not, and so you're able to articulate that to your client, and then they know that, oh, I might need to wait on that, but these kinds of things I can get done, and I'm gonna hire that out and I'm going to get some work done. And so I think that's great.
Yeah. I've actually, when this first started, some of my senior customers, they were afraid of me getting in trouble mowing their yard. They're like, you know, Jim, we don't want to get you in trouble, you know, coming to do our grass. You know, we don't want it to grow either, but we don't want nobody in trouble. You know, like, no, I said, this is an essential service. And I highlight that part of the, you know, from the CDC and such, their Homeland Security they put out. And I'm like, no, we fall under this category. The governor says we can do it. I said, it's not a problem. And they just felt better knowing that. But, you know, they were concerned about me getting in trouble, you know, which is great. You know, I'm glad you're worried about me like that.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah, they obviously trust you and you know, seek your advice and yeah, they rely on you for that information. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's great. Well, Jim, yeah, if there's anything else you'd like to share with the pro community out there, we you know, we'd love to have you, you know, share that out. Any you know, further ideas, suggestions, or even words of encouragement out to the landscape community.
Well, the biggest thing I'd like to share is don't give up. You know, this will pass. We'll get through this. Like I said earlier, anybody wants to talk, or yeah, I'll help anybody any way I can. You know, feel free to reach out, call me, email me. You know, I'll do whatever I can for you. We're all in different areas and we're playing by different rules right now. If you're locked down and you can't do anything, this is a good time to take a look at your business. You know, and just, you know, just to reanalyze things. Maybe you need to come back with a different approach to things.
Mm-hmm.
A good time to look at it. I mean, I hate to get into politics, but you know, if you're a particular county or city or whatever is imposes some rules that other cities or counties aren't, it may be time to change the officials you got making decisions for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I feel this is an essential service. You know, you get into the bugs, the vector, and anything else. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm old for a lot of senior people. And when you look out your window and see your yard cut, your garden clean, it's mentally soothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're already going through enough. And, you know, just to see your stuff getting overgrown, out of control, it just adds to the problems you already have.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it's not impacting anybody, you know, I think you ought to be able to keep it up.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I think it's a little bit of normalcy in a very unnormal time right now. You know, having your lawn cut and having some maintenance. I think, you know, it brings that sense of you know, put togetherness. You know, if your lawn is well put together, it's cut, it's maintained. You know, that's a little bit of normalcy, and that's really important in these days. You know, it's not a lot normal right now.
And you know, as this progresses, you know, people obviously start running out of funds, you know, due to the ones not working and staying at home. And no, I'm not opposed to helping. I'll help anybody, especially customers I've had for 15 or 20 years. You know, it wouldn't bother me to go cut their yard free for 6 months. It really wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I got to do to keep it up for them. They've taken care of me all these years, and I'm going to be here to take care of them.
Mm. That's fantastic. Jim, you know, from Echo's perspective, we super appreciate what you do for us, for the landscape community. I think the words of encouragement and the hints that you've shared today are just what we need. And I appreciate it. And on behalf of Echo Means Business and the Echo User Advisory Group, again, thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service. And thank you for your words of encouragement today. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate everything y'all do for us. The equipment you provide us and the support you give us, and even this platform here. I think this is super. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jim. So with that, we'll say goodbye. If you wouldn't mind, how about a shout out for your lawn care service?
I'm Jim Nelson with J&J Lawn Service in Lake City, Florida.
All right. Great. Jim, thank you very much. We appreciate your time today.
All right, Ken, take care. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Be sure to stay tuned for all future Essential Voices interviews. You can find them at the social channels listed below, as well as echomeansbusiness.com. Thanks everybody.